Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today are brought to you by the Vancouver Giants. Giants would like to thank their fans for their support this season at the LEC and can't wait to welcome them back for the 2023-2024 campaign. Get your season tickets for next year now at vancouvergiants.com/season tickets. I don't know where to begin when it comes to setting up our next guest. Ken Hitchcock got into the Hockey Hall of Fame yesterday. Let's start there. But the fourth all-time in NHL wins among head coaches, Stanley Cup in Dallas, gold medals with Team Canada at the Olympics. There's just so much there. Ken joins us now. Ken, thanks so much for doing this. Congratulations. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. It's been a wee bit of a whirlwind last 24 hours, but I was kind of shocked and surprised when Lanny called, so I wasn't ready for it, to be honest with you guys.
Well, tell us about your reaction and where you were when Lanny McDonald gave you a call.
I was hitting balls at a practice session at the Harvest Club here, and I just jammed my clubs in the trunk, and I got a Calgary phone number. When I heard Lanny's voice, I knew then it registered with me, but I hadn't kept track of what was going on, and I hadn't paid much attention to it. And then that call kind of shocked me into reality. And, you know, you spend like the last 24 hours, I've started to reflect on my career. But, you know, when you retire, guys, or you go into another frame of work like I was doing as a consultant, you kind of forget about your career and you just kind of move on to living another part of your life. And this kind of brings a lot of things back. It's a career I'm really proud of, and more proud that I was able to help a lot of coaches, not only in the NHL, but in junior hockey also.
Yeah. Ken, I've heard so much about your career early on. We all know what happened later on. But where did it all begin for you? I heard you used to work at a hockey shop in Edmonton. You were sharpening skates. You went on to coach minor hockey for several years. Where did it all begin? And what about your love for hockey back then?
Well, it started with my dad. My dad died when I was really young. I was 14. But he worked for Imperial Oil, and in his spare time, he was the general manager of a big outdoor rink complex. And so him and I spent every night together scraping and flooding rinks, and I would be at the rink. I'd go right from school to the rink and stay there until he took me home to go to bed. So my dad had a real coaching background also. He was coaching minor hockey in the Edmonton area, and so I followed him around all the time, and it's really started there. And then it just kind of moved on. When I was 21, I made decisions earlier in my life. I stopped playing when I was 18. I was racing snowmobiles on frozen lakes on the weekends, and then I got back into coaching when I was 21, and that's what started it, coaching midget hockey. So I was working full time and coaching full time and loving life, and then going to Kamloops changed everything, you know. All of a sudden it became my job and my living and my calling, and it got really serious when I went to Kamloops.
Yeah, and was it 10 years you coached minor hockey and had a lot of success there, Ken?
It was 12, actually.
12, wow.
Yeah, we had... Well, it was really interesting, guys, because I was coaching in Sherwood Park outside of Edmonton, and it was a bedroom community, and we had a huge minor hockey program. I was coaching midget hockey, and I had over 100 players try out for my team. And so it was a monstrous program, and I was lucky because there was a lot of great athletes at that time, and I just had this passion to coach, and I didn't want to let go, and it was really fueled 12 months a year by the university coaches. Dr. Heinmarch was in on presentations. Claire Drake, Dave King, George Kingston, Wayne Fleming, they were so passionate about the game that it rubbed off on a lot of us. And you look at anybody from the West that's coached in the NHL, and those guys' names is all over our resume, and they provided me the enthusiasm and knowledge to learn how to coach.
Ken, I want to go back to Kamloops. 4 division titles, Western Hockey League champs twice, Rob Brown, Greg Hoggood, Robin Bawa, Craig Bruby, Mark Recchi. I can keep going on. You had so many good players. What did Kamloops mean to your journey to the NHL?
Everything community-wise. Like, the wins are the wins, and yeah, I was lucky. I was 6 years. We had 6 winning programs, but it was the community. Like, I've never been in a community that was so tight, so committed, so generous in helping me, and it was like every time I drive up there, I just get this warm feeling that I'm going home, and it was that way in Kamloops. Like, the support we had and the camaraderie with the community was unbelievable, and I really appreciated everything I got there. And we built a hell of a program, and we really had success. But more important, we've built this decades-long friendship that still goes on to this day with a lot of the players.
Ken, when you were coaching midget in Edmonton, you would attend Claire Drake's practices and learn and pick up pointers. How big was he for you? He's a legend in Alberta.
Yeah, well, what it was I would take my lunch break. So I worked down the street from the rink. It was a 5-minute, 10-minute drive at the most. So when I got my hour break or 90 minutes, if I wanted to take one of them over the time, I would just drive to their practices. I took my break always at 3:00, and I would go down and watch them practice. Sometimes if I got in earlier, they would give me the practice plans, and I just went there and at least twice a week, and I took notes. And then I always went to one of their games on the weekend. They played at home on Friday and Saturday nights, and I would always go in and spend time post game with Billy Moores and Claire Drake, and they would go over what happened in the game and what their game plan was and how it worked. And I went on this learning journey, and it started with Claire and Billy, and then continued on from there. But I had this fascination to wanting to learn about the details of the game, and those guys were more than giving to provide it to me.
Ken, are you okay being called a hockey nerd?
I don't mind that. I don't know that I'm a hockey nerd, but what I am is a team nerd. I'm really dedicated to. I've gone all over the world, guys, to see other operations, whether it's the Hungarian national handball team, English Premier League soccer, NFL teams, Major League Baseball teams. I've gone all over the world to learn about what makes great teams tick. So I'm a team nerd for sure. I can tell you that, wanting to know what works and what doesn't work,
Hey, Ken, we've talked a lot here today about minor hockey. What do you think about the state of minor hockey right now? It's so different than when we grew up with zones, zone teams, academy teams. Some people accusing minor hockey now of catering to the elite. What's your opinion of the state of minor hockey right now?
Well, I grew up in the community league era, where if you lived in Otwell, you lived in Holyrood in Edmonton, you were part of that community. So I really have a tough time when I see everything that's going on, but I think that it's become an unbelievably dedicated sport, but I don't know if it's healthy long-term to be like this, because there's no variance. Like, it's 12 months a year, 5-6 days a week, and I think it's narrowing the potential of some of the athletes. So I don't I don't get overly concerned about whether it's a club team or whether it's still a community team or a zone team, but I get concerned that it's overindulging on the commitment expected of the players, and it's getting richer and richer and richer in that. And I don't think long term, from a development personality standpoint, that's a good thing at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I wonder how many kids we're gonna lose. There's so much we could ask you, Ken. But Rick, my partner here, is from New Westminster, and I know he wants to know what are your memories of visiting Queen's Park Arena?
Ernie Punch, McLean, Ken, you had some battles.
Not good. I could write a book, a hell of a chapter on Punch and I together. Like,
Yep.
It was the scariest place I've ever been in my life, and everybody thought Kamloops was scary, but New West, I knew the reputation when Punch was winning Memorial Cups, and I was nervous as hell. We played the playoff series, and there was some really goofy stuff that went on. Punch played along with it. I played along with it, but he's been a wonderful friend. But that building, when you go in that building makes you shake. And it's the same as Kamloops. When you go into Kamloops now, and same as New West, it feels like you're in a tennis facility. It's that short and that small.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very intimidating time. And Punch had this reputation where you were afraid he was going to chew your head off if you just said hello to him. But it's funny because the stories and now the camaraderie that we have is just amazing.
And it's still standing, Ken, and it is scary, and it's also wonderful all in one. Who are you going to think of when you get inducted? The day you get, I know you got the phone call yesterday, the induction ceremony to come in the fall. Who are you going to think of?
Well, guys, I was so lucky because when I started in the NHL, I had Rick Wilson and Doug Jarvis. And those two guys made me look smart every day. And my three general managers when I turned professional, between the Kalamazoo and Dallas and that, were Bob Gainey, Doug Armstrong, and Bob Clark. It just doesn't get any better than that. Those guys had my back all the time, and they gave me a chance to do what I did, and I'm so appreciative of that. And they knew what it took to win. They got winning, and the harder I pushed, the more they embraced it, and they were really supportive.
And obviously your father as well. Ken, thanks so much for this. Again, we could go on and on. This has been just fabulous, and congratulations, and thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot.
You
Bye-bye.
bet.